Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a 1v1 on Red Comet Remake with Mr. Teddy playing in red as an Armada Commander versus Xfactorlive also as an Armada Commander in blue. Now Teddy, we haven't surprisingly seen a lot of him on the channel, but he's a long time top tier player in bar, one of the best 1v1ers in the game. Been a little while since he's played too much, and because of that he's kind of fallen down the leaderboard a bit, but he knows his stuff, so it'll be nice to see him in a game. Also on the opposite side of the map though, we have Mr. Xfactor. Xfactor we've seen off fairly a lot recently, and surprisingly he's doing very well in the leaderboard. He is currently ranked #1 in 1v1s when it comes to current OS rankings, so he is the man to beat in this game today. And let's take a look at the map, shall we? Both players, you can see here, starting off getting some early scouts out. We can see Xfactor actually getting a lot more scouts out than his opponent Teddy here. And this tick may get caught out, but early game, this tick's not too much to worry about. Now it's 4-on-4. Very early micro taking place here, but when we look at the map, you can see here that this is very prevalent that it's a 1v1 map. You have some expansion mechs starting there, and then we expect to see some movement along this line, but both commanders are pretty much going to walk towards the middle here and basically try and fight. Now we can see a difference in start position. Teddy, if he was on Xfactor's side, would have started in this mechs here. That tick will not get its job done, unfortunately. Whereas Xfactor's obviously started in this double mechs position here. This is going to give him a lot less metal to work with in the early game, as opposed to Teddy, who's going to be able to push out a substantial more amount of units. Now another key thing of note here, there is no wind on this map. Technically there's a tiny amount, but none. So players are going to be building all solar. This also means that, you know, they're going to be using a lot of their metal to build their economy up. And another thing of note here you can see is this is quite a small map. And so getting around this map, moving units across quickly is going to be very, very important. There's a good group of ticks here moving along the top. There is also 9 ticks here moving across the middle, which is going to easily obliterate this little force here, and with that construction bot. So Teddy is going to lose that very quickly. He's not going to get that built in time. He did try and self-destruct the metal extractor there, with the intention of denying the ticks. Oh, surprisingly that constructor stayed alive. He was not expecting that. Now Teddy did manage to get the engineer that was at the top there, the constructor. It looks like he may get another one if he's lucky. Great micro there. The speed that ticks move is going to be very difficult to kind of keep track of, but being able to micro these units around stuff so quickly takes a lot of skill. And these players, being, you know, at the top of their game, clearly know what they're doing now. Xfactor has transitioned away from them a little bit into pawns, so Teddy is going to have to do the same sooner or later. And the pawns are starting to make their way down. Teddy's commander is only just leaving the base. Xfactor has already pushed out a little bit. Teddy going a lot more in the way of economy, but doesn't really have anything to defend his base. Pawns are just starting to come out now. But as you can see, because of how big and open the map is, how easy it is to harass your extra positions here. And that has shown greatly at both players losing all of their expansion. And it's going to be a very unit-focused game. As we can see, there's another 3 pawns down the bottom, 2 at the top. The LLT is attempting to be built in Teddy's base here, which will provide good coverage. Now LLTs will be able to shoot over the solar collectors, unlike in a normal game where there's a lot of wind, where LLTs won't be able to shoot over. That's not a problem here. And Teddy's slowly making his way out, actually cancelling the production of that solar to move to metal point instead. This will slowly drain back. As you can see, now it's decaying. The metal that he's invested in this is slowly going back. As you can see in the bottom left here that it says plus 3.7. He's now putting that metal is slowly coming back into his economy in that time. Now Xfactor in a very strong position here, but when it comes to metal income, currently Teddy is in the lead. Surprisingly, he went for this top mechs first before even getting the one in his base back up and running. Now, one thing interesting here, solar panels, as we mentioned before in a previous video, solar panels, when they get shot, they actually go into like an armored state. And so having a solar panel next to your LLT early on is not a bad choice to try and like defend your positions. You'll see some players will use them in front of an LLT. Some people will put them like in front of mexes. Other people will build walls with them. As you can see here, Xfactor's kind of built a bit of a wall. So he's kind of protected from this side a little bit. These metal extractors are obviously still exposed, but it's kind of just slowly expanding out. And you can see that Teddy has kind of done the same thing, but his is just purely because his comm was stood and that's what was in build range. Now, dangerous here. These two constructors are left very much alone. Will he get that laser tower up before these 4 come in? Well, they're actually falling back. Now, Teddy does have a bit more of an economy advantage for the moment. It is rapidly changing though. As we can see that when it comes to expansion, Xfactor's got a constructor moving on the bottom, construction here, res bot along the north. That's going to probably resurrect this construction bot to move along the north as well. Whereas Teddy has his commander and these 2 construction bots in the middle, and that is it. So Teddy will get out expanded very quickly and will lose ground. Another thing is, doesn't have much in the way of army. As you can see here, army value, it's only just advantage Xfactor, but it's still enough. And we see there a self-destruct on, it's kind of a bit zoomed out for you to see it, but this metal extractor self-destructed, and that caused a lot of AoE damage to take place, dealing with the scout. Very easily cleaned up there by Teddy. Maybe a little bit more difficult for him to move through here. But we've been seeing a lot of Armada recently, so it's nice. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. We haven't been seeing a lot of Armada recently, so it's nice to see some Armada gameplay for a change. Surprised with seeing bots for so long. This map is got quite a lot of metal on it. Each of the metal points are 2.3 metal each. And yeah, surprising we're not seeing a transition over to vehicles. Both players are very efficiently using their metal though at this point, so LLT's able to do a decent job at holding this front line. Meanwhile, along the bottom here, another construction vehicle bot, gets taken out. LLT still up though. But the transition over to maces here, it's going to be a matter of time before these LLTs don't really matter. As soon as a significant group of them manage to get together. And I would say at this point, that's already enough. See how quickly these guys managed to take out those laser towers. So far, not even lost a single one. 2 go down for 2 laser towers. I would say that's a very, very good trade. Now, the issue is Teddy does not have the units to deal with this. His comms rapidly, wildly expanding. This does mean now, though, that his commander is so far away up here, he cannot help if this force just pushes to his base. We do see, though, as I just mentioned, a transition over to vehicles. Now, vehicles will win out versus stouts, but surprisingly, rather than going for the base, we actually see him going for the commander. It's not a bad idea. Teddy's commander is very exposed right now. Luckily enough for Teddy, he did have a couple of constructions plots nearby. He's trying to build a beamer. He has very little energy. Tanks are coming in now, trying to save the day a little bit. Unfortunately, he was not able to repair the vehicle there. I think he was probably trying to repair the tank. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. Beamers is going to help here, but just enough to kind of harass your opponent and force it to move back. What I am surprised is we're not seeing like a couple of tanks just go whoosh down the bottom like that. Just build like 2 or 3 tanks moving around there. I mean, I know he needs them up here right now, but this would change the kind of state of the game right now. It is very heavily focused on defense at the moment. Resbots have definitely caused a bit of a problem for Teddy, and Teddy moves through a very heavily defended position that used to be his. And the Resbots have just resurrected everything that he had there to begin with. Now, moving up these tanks south, he has tried to force the opponent to move his units down, which has happened. But he didn't really get much for that. Meanwhile, there's a good group of grunts moving through. Teddy has spotted them. LLT did not get built in time. Now, LLTs again can do a self-destruct. And Teddy really struggling here. Just doesn't have the units. He's really struggling with energy production right now. Oh, that's because he's going for an advanced solar. That's why he's struggling. And more pawns still left alive. They're not going to be able to do much more attacking, though, from that position. And Xfactor in a very, very strong spot right now. Army value very, very far ahead. Energy production also decently ahead. But metal per second is currently... Totally, Teddy has produced more metal, so that is kind of advantage him, but units on the field, Xfactor is just able to keep rolling and cannot stop these Resbots. Teddy is unable to stop them, and they're just able to resurrect more and more things. He's trying to get a Resbot of his own, but he just can't defend them. Beamers are doing a fairly decent job, though. Oh, manages to get the Resbot. Teddy is in a bit of a tough spot here, to be honest. He's trying to stay... Like, where is that beamer? Oh, there. I personally really dislike the beamer noise. It's so irritating, the noise. Now, Teddy transitioning, if you could say transitioning, over to a heavy laser tower here. This is not a bad move for this heavily defended position. They will make very short work of the maces. But with that, it is kind of a lot of metal to invest in a static defense. 440 metal, it's the price of 2 tanks. Right now with very little in the way of forces, that's quite a lot to invest. Transition over to vehicles himself here. You can see the way that Xfactor's built his base here, using shields purely as like the Solars here as a massive defensive wall. Whereas Advanced Solar's being built from Teddy. Teddy really short on build power right now. Desperately needs to get some more construction turrets up. So much metal just kind of sat around, not really doing anything right now. He did manage to get a huge reclaim from here. That's why he's got so much, but here come artillery, and that heavy laser tower is pretty much already going to be made redundant because of the heavy laser, because of the artillery. So much of it, and again purely because of the lack of build power from Teddy, he's really fallen behind on army value, and all the numbers are currently in Xfactor's favor. Teddy just needs to shift the narrative, change it to looking at something else, but look at the quantity of units coming out here. They're not quite as quick as they were before, but slowed down a little bit. But there is so many forces around Xfactor's commander. And look at this second force that's only just been built. 14 stouts pushing along the bottom here. Teddy doesn't even have that much on the entire map. Teddy does attempt here to get us around on these stouts. Does get a pretty good flank amount of damage there, but it has left his force significantly injured. And producing units from 2 factories is causing him some problems. He's not just got the build power or the production to deal with it. He is getting a bot lab right up here, but just look how many forces there are here. Both players have a single resbot, desperately trying to eat up everything they can, but there is no way Teddy is getting that reclaim field. And that is a lot of metal to leave on the floor. 2.8k. Both players have built forward bot labs. Good use of rocket bots here. Just F-move them into the laser towers. That'll slowly whittle down any LLTs if left to their own devices. As you can see, Teddy moving his tanks around here. He's desperately trying to find some form of hole that he can push into. But unfortunately, nothing's being found. And with this push here into his base, he's about to lose a big chunk of his energy production, as all he has is some blitzes. You can see the wave of them coming in now. There's like 8 of them, I think. 9. They are getting taken out now, but still, there's just more damage being dealt to Teddy base. And he's not really doing anything. All of these resbots back here managed to make a huge difference. Rocket bots not really able to cut it here in this situation. Teddy trying to mop up these resbots, stop this reclaim field becoming more of a problem for him. Unfortunately, he can't really stop it. And those units are just being resurrected and sent back to himself. Army value wise, Teddy's still massively behind, but a tank force does manage to get through. How much damage is going to be able to inflict though? That's the question here. You can see a lot of the definitely not windmills. Solar panels that were built here have been reclaimed as a metal storage option. and they're being put into advanced solars here. This one tank left is going to get killed by this Janus now. Yeah, there we go. And surprisingly, these rocket bots are doing a fairly decent job at pushing in here. They are very fragile, and the Januses are slowly taking them down. All the artillery, though. I think X-Factor maybe was concentrating elsewhere, and with that caused the artillery to be out of place. Quick harassing units also managing to catch these stouts that have been resurrected at the bottom out of place. And he still doesn't have the forces really to secure this wreck field, so he's just going to eat up as much as he can. So he's got a bit of an energy problem at the moment. The more he can reclaim here, the less he has to worry about his opponent resurrecting, but unfortunately there's still a substantial chunk left. We look at that 1.2k or 1k up here. Now, when it comes to economy stats, we can see here that X-Factor is still massively in the lead. Teddy does have a good chunk of metal stored, though. Right now, he just doesn't have the metal to use it. And surprisingly, we're seeing an attempted transition over to Tech 2 here. Now, with him being behind so much when it comes to army value, this is a very risky play. Not only that, but he's sending a bunch of units down here to attack the flanks, which, unfortunate for that stout there, gets caught out, but he does manage to get these units through, and they will get some metal damage. Forces along the north did try and attempt the same thing here, but didn't manage to successfully do anything. This is doing a good job. The stouts unfortunately get mopped up very effectively. And these blitzes are going to run it right into this tank and also die. So Teddy surprisingly somehow managing to hold on. Don't know how much longer that will happen. We see Centurions coming out here. Counter the pawns. Very good effective counter to pawns here. Very tanky unit. A lot of damage in it. And but he needs to mass up, Teddy does, enough hounds for there to be a substantial impact. You can also see he's keeping them really far back here. The reason for that is because when your opponent sees your Tech 2, it will go Tech 2 unit spotted or Tech 2 unit detected, something along those lines. And basically when that happens, your opponent instantly knows you have Tech 2, and with that knows that they have to transition themselves or basically hurry up and finish the game. And X-Factor would have just gotten that himself there. And we actually see, rather than doing that, we see a huge chunk of tanks just being pushed out here by X-Factor. And he plans on just pushing in here and taking out Teddy's base. If he takes out Teddy's base, he's got nothing really more to worry about. Teddy's comm will fall. And this is a very, very big group of units. And unfortunately, he's only just started building these Tech 2 hounds. And they are very weak up close, which they are right now. And there's just too many units and too many different angles here for Teddy to effectively defend. Hounds aren't being switched over to Gals either, which would increase their DPS considering how close they are. The core of the base actually surprisingly still stands. And as you can see here, X-Factor pushed everything into this attack. All of his units that he had has been pushed into this. Teddy did try and push forward here a little bit, but I think with the base slowly crumbling, he's trying to push more and more forces out. Another welder coming out here. Surprisingly, very surprisingly here, the base still stands. And now, if Teddy can get all of this reclaim up, I think the game could very much turn in his favor. Still no transition to Tech 2 from X Factor here. And this blitz isn't really going to be able to accomplish too much, I don't think. Going to get chased down. Yep, there we go. It's going to get killed now. You can see all of this stuff being resurrected now. This is a race against time now. Can he resurrect all this stuff to his? Or is he going to reclaim it all? I would probably suggest the best course of action here would be probably to resurrect, because he just needs units on the field right now. Can he get enough Tech 2 for it to going to become a significant factor? Teddy very short on energy right now, unable to fire his defenses effectively. Using his commander here to build a bunch of wins. Heavy Lace Tower doing a decent job. Oh, X Factor, rather than going Tech 2 here, has made a very bold decision. Rather than go for Tech 2 himself, which he could quite easily defend with the units he's got here, he is pumping everything into gunships, and he has 16, 17, 18. He's probably aiming for maybe 25, I would estimate. And he is going to try and quickly snipe the commander with gunships. Now, with a big enough chunk, gunships will do the job. There's been no air in this game yet. So when it comes to this, basically, well, there is 0 air defense currently. And the Tech 2 is also not able to really do much just yet, as it hasn't reached that kind of critical mass. It's enough to hold off. These welders are doing a great job versus these tanks. But again, unfortunately, all require energy to fire, and you can see how short on energy Teddy is here. But the game is definitely turning in Teddy's favor. If he can hold out. Question is, will these gunships ruin Teddy's day? We did see here a couple of crossbows going out. Might have seen some air. Teddy cloaking his commander. Scouts go over though. Teddy's comm runs out of energy. But it looks like, oh, yeah, they're going for the commander. He's about to run out of energy. As soon as those solos go, yep, there they go. Comm is now visible. Absolutely decimating this position. Will Teddy's comm be able to survive this attack? Look how quickly his commander's going down. He's now been spotted. His commander drastically dropping in a tremendous rate. And X Factor manages to win. If that play wouldn't have worked out, I honestly think it would have gone in Teddy's favor. Well played, both players. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.